You won't believe what just went down. Because Young Thug may have single-handedly written the final chapter of his own career. And the craziest part, Drake and Kendrick Lamar saw it coming from miles away. Fans are buzzing. The industry is divided and social media is in flames after shocking revelations that paint a picture of betrayal, self-destruction, and a prophecy that seems to be unfolding in real time. It all started with whispers. Quiet rumors that Thugger was making reckless moves behind the scenes, ignoring warnings and pushing away the very people who once lifted him to the top. But now, those whispers have exploded into an avalanche of drama that no one can escape. From explosive arguments with his inner circle, to shocking confrontations that have left family and fans in tears, Young Thug's downfall isn't just another celebrity. Scandal eats a tragedy that feels eerily scripted, like destiny itself was waiting to play out. And when you hear how Drake's cryptic words and Kendrick's brutal shots seem to line up with what's happening now, you'll understand why fans are calling this the most chilling prediction in hip-hop history. Stay tuned, because the truth is even messier than you think. The unraveling of Young Thug's world didn't start with a bang. It started with the smallest ripple that no one paid attention to. Insiders claim it began at a private studio session in Atlanta, where voices were raised, tempers flared, and friendships shattered in the span of a single night. What should have been a triumphant celebration of new music quickly turned into a battlefield of accusations. One of his closest collaborators allegedly stood up in the middle of the room, his voice shaking, and shouted, "You're sabotaging everything we built. You don't even see it." The silence that followed was heavy, and those who were there swear Thugger's face was a storm of anger and denial. From that moment, the energy around him changed. Family members whispered that he had become distant. Fans noticed strange behavior. On stage, and industry peers avoided eye contact in interviews when his name came up. What made this situation even more unsettling was that people began digging up old interviews from Drake and Kendrick. Interviews where both seemed to drop lines that in hindsight looked like eerie predictions. Drake once said in a cryptic conversation, "Sometimes talent gets buried under chaos when the artist can't control his own circle." Kendrick, more direct in his tone, once spit bars about a king too blinded by his own crown to see the cliff ahead. Fans now look back and claim these were warnings aimed straight at Thug. The fallout spread like wildfire. One night, during a family gathering that should have been filled with laughter, voices again erupted. His sister reportedly broke down in tears, telling him that he was pushing everyone away. "You don't listen, you don't care," she cried, according to a relative who later leaked the confrontation to gossip pages. The family was left divided, with some siding with her, begging Thug to take accountability, while others stood firm behind him, claiming that the world was plotting against him and that he was simply misunderstood. Emotions ran high, and the room was left in silence after he stormed out, slamming the door so hard that neighbors heard the echo. On social media, fans were torn. Some defended him, writing comments like, "Y'all always want to see a black man fail. Let him breathe," while others expressed heartbreak, saying, "This isn't the Thug we fell in love with. Something is destroying him from the inside." The division only fueled the fire, creating an online war between supporters and critics. Every post drenched in drama and speculation. What shocked people even more was what happened next. A video leaked online of an altercation outside a well-known club in Atlanta. In the grainy clip, Young Thug can be seen shouting at someone off camera, his voice hoarse with fury. Witnesses claimed he screamed, "I made you, and you still betrayed me," before security dragged him back, though the identity of the other person remains a mystery. Fans speculated it was someone from his own camp, possibly a childhood friend turned business partner. The betrayal narrative grew stronger, painting a picture of a man surrounded by snakes, every friend turning into a foe. Meanwhile, Drake and Kendrick's names wouldn't leave the conversation. fans started circulating mashups of their old lyrics, with current headlines about Thug. Drake's once celebratory anthems suddenly read like veiled warnings. Kendrick's razor-sharp verses felt like an obituary written in advance. Blogs ran with the narrative, publishing pieces titled, "Did Drake and Kendrick See This Coming?" And prophecies fulfilled, Thug's spiral into chaos. But behind the headlines, there was something even more tragic happening. Those close to Thug say he began isolating himself more and more, locking himself away in the studio but never finishing songs. One producer described it as watching a genius crumble in front of you. He said there were days when Thug would sit in the booth in complete silence, staring at the microphone, not saying a word for hours. Other days, his anger exploded. He would lash out at engineers, throw his phone across the room, and demand, "Everyone leave." The tension was unbearable, and many who once worked with him quietly walked away. The inner conflict wasn't just professional, it was deeply personal. People whispered about late-night phone calls with old friends where he confessed his fears. One source claimed Thug admitted, "I don't even know who I can trust anymore. Everybody feels like an enemy." Those words echoed the paranoia that seemed to consume him. Paranoia that fans believed Drake and Kendrick foreshadowed in their own ways. The drama reached another boiling point when a former friend went live on Instagram, claiming Thug owed him money and respect. He forgot where he came from. The friend ranted, his voice raw with bitterness. He turned his back on everybody who had his back first. Thousands tuned in, comments flying across the screen, some siding with the accuser, others blasting him for clout chasing. Yet, the damage was done. Another crack had formed in Thug's already crumbling image. Throughout all of this, fans clung to hope that he would turn things around. Messages flooded his social media, begging him to find peace, to focus on music, to rise above the chaos. But instead, each public sighting brought more questions. Photos surfaced of him looking exhausted, eyes hollow, clothes disheveled, a stark contrast to the vibrant star fans once idolized. The image of invincibility was gone, replaced by vulnerability and despair. And then came the moment that shook everything to its core. Reports surfaced of a heated phone argument between Thug and a major industry figure. Some say it was a label executive. Others claim it was a fellow artist. What made the story explode was the alleged content of the call. A leaked snippet hinted at Thug yelling, "I'll burn it all down before I let them control me." Though the audio remains unverified, fans latched onto it, interpreting it as a declaration of war, not just against his enemies, but against his own legacy. By this point, the connections to Drake and Kendrick's words were impossible to ignore. Fans drew parallels between Thug's spiraling reality and the warnings hidden in their art. It wasn't just coincidence anymore. It was a prophecy unfolding. The industry watched with bated breath, wondering just how far this destruction would go. But what no one knew at that moment was that the drama was about to escalate in ways no one could have predicted. The betrayals weren't over. The confrontations weren't finished. And young Thug's life was about to take an even darker turn, dragging family, friends, and fans into a storm that none of them were prepared to face. The darker turn came swiftly, almost like a storm that had been waiting just beyond the horizon. Days after the leaked audio of that heated phone call, another bombshell exploded across social media. A close associate of young Thug, someone who had been part of his camp for years, suddenly broke ranks and spoke to a gossip blog. What he revealed left fans gasping and the family scrambling to contain the fallout. He claimed that behind closed doors, young Thug had been battling with more than just betrayal. He had been battling himself. The associate described nights where Thug would pace the floor, muttering to himself about people plotting against him. There were stories of him refusing to eat meals cooked by family members, fearing they might be poisoned. He doesn't trust anybody anymore, the source said. He thinks even his blood is out to get him. These revelations sent shockwaves. Through the fan base, many rushed to defend him, insisting these were lies told for clout. But others admitted the puzzle pieces were starting to fit together. It wasn't long before the paranoia started bleeding into public incidents. One night, at an upscale restaurant in Atlanta, witnesses reported seeing Thug get into a heated confrontation with a childhood friend. Diners looked on in disbelief as the two men argued loudly, their words dripping with anger. "You betrayed me first," Thug allegedly shouted across the table. His friend, equally enraged, fired back, "No, you betrayed yourself." Staff rushed to defuse the situation, but the damage was already done. Someone recorded a short clip and uploaded it online, and within hours, it went viral. Family members tried to intervene again. His mother, heartbroken, reportedly staged an emotional intervention. She begged him to slow down, to take care of himself, to stop pushing everyone away. One insider recounted her words, trembling with pain. "Son, you're burning every bridge. And soon there won't be anyone left to catch you when you fall." Those in the room said Thug's face hardened. He shook his head and whispered, "They've already turned on me." With that, he walked out again, leaving his mother in tears and the family further divided than ever. And then came the betrayal that no one saw coming. A longtime business partner, someone who helped manage his finances, was exposed for allegedly leaking personal details about Thug's life to the press. His private conversations, money problems, even details about disputes with other artists, all of it spilled out in articles that painted Thug as reckless and unstable. Fans felt betrayed on his behalf, but others couldn't ignore the fact that some of the leaks aligned with the chaos they were already witnessing. The betrayal narrative grew darker, the idea of snakes in his circle more undeniable. At this point, industry figures began weighing in. One producer, speaking anonymously, told a magazine, "This feels like déjà vu. We've seen this pattern before with other greats when the music takes a back seat to the drama, the end is near." Fans immediately connected these words back to Drake and Kendrick, insisting their earlier statements and verses had warned of this very downfall. The prophecy narrative grew louder, transforming Thug's struggles into something that felt preordained, as though destiny itself had turned against him. But the tension wasn't confined to friends and family, spilled directly onto the stage. During a highly anticipated performance, fans expected a triumphant return to form. Instead, they got a spectacle of raw chaos. Midway through the show, Thug stopped rapping and began ranting at the crowd. His words were disjointed, filled with accusations about fake love and betrayal. "Half of y'all here don't even want me to win," he shouted, his voice cracking. Fans stood frozen, unsure whether to cheer or fall silent. Some tried chanting his name in support, but the mood had already shifted. Videos of the breakdown spread like wildfire, fueling headlines like "Young Thug's meltdown caught on stage and the prophecy fulfilled in front of our eyes." Meanwhile, behind the scenes, friendships continued to fracture. One insider revealed a confrontation between Thug and a fellow artist who once considered him a brother. The meeting allegedly turned violent, with furniture knocked over and shouts echoing through the studio walls. He told him, "You were supposed to ride with me, not against me," the insider claimed. The other artist allegedly replied, "You don't even know who you're fighting anymore." The fight ended with both storming out, their bonds shattered beyond repair. Fans online reacted with heartbreak and fury. One wrote, "This is like watching a Greek tragedy play out in real life." Another said, "Drake warned us, Kendrick told us, and now it's happening in front of our eyes." The sense of inevitability grew heavier, as though everyone was waiting for the final act of destruction. And yet, in the middle of the chaos, there were brief glimpses of the old Thug. One night, he went live on Instagram, speaking softly to his fans. "I know y'all worried," he said, his voice tired but sincere, "but I'm still here. I'm still fighting. Don't give up on me." Fans flooded the comments with hearts, prayers, and encouragement, clinging to the hope that he could still rise from the ashes. For a moment, it seemed like redemption might be possible, but the calm didn't last. Just days later, another explosive twist sent everything spiraling again. A private phone conversation between Thug and a family member was leaked to the press. In the recording, he could be heard accusing his own brother of betraying him. "You think I don't know? You think I don't hear the whispers?" he raged. The brother's voice, trembling, replied, "I never turned on you. You're turning on yourself." The leak tore the family further apart, fans stunned by the depth of division now exposed for the world to hear. The betrayal theme became inescapable, and the narrative of prophecy seemed more chilling by the day. Social media was flooded with edits of Kendrick's past verses, Drake's subtle warnings, and current footage of Thug's downfall. They predicted it all. Fans wrote in comments, living out their words like a script. Others argued it was coincidence. But even skeptics admitted the parallels were haunting. And as if the betrayals weren't enough, rumors began to swirl of legal troubles looming in the shadows. Insiders whispered about disputes with contracts, unfinished projects, and debts that could come back to haunt him. Fans speculated wildly, imagining courtroom dramas and industry takedowns. The sense of suspense was unbearable, each day bringing a new headline, a new twist, another piece of the prophecy coming true. Yet through it all, one truth remained clear. Young Thug's world was crumbling. Not with the quiet dignity of a slow fade, but with the explosive chaos of a reality TV finale. Family bonds shattered, friendships turned sour, fans divided, and the music drowned under the noise of betrayal and paranoia. And just when everyone thought the worst had already come to pass, another twist emerged, one so shocking that it threatened to push Thug past the point of no return, dragging his legacy deeper into chaos and testing the loyalty of those who still stood by him. The shocking twist came in the most brutal way possible. Just when fans thought they had seen the peak of betrayal, a leaked set of text messages surfaced online, allegedly between young Thug and someone he once considered his right-hand man. The messages revealed arguments over money, loyalty, and trust. One line from Thug cut deep: "I gave you everything, and you stabbed me in the back." The reply, cold and dismissive, read, "You gave me chains, but never gave me respect." The internet exploded. Screenshots flew across Twitter and Instagram, fans dissecting every word, debating whether the texts were real or fabricated. But regardless of authenticity, the damage was done. The narrative of betrayal wasn't just speculation anymore, was documented proof of a broken bond. The fallout was immediate. Family members tried to shield him from the chaos, but it was impossible. His brother reportedly confronted him, in person, demanding answers. "How many more people you're gonna fight with before you realize it's you against yourself?" he asked. Witnesses claimed Thug's eyes burned with rage as he shouted back, "You don't know what it's like to be hunted every day." The argument escalated until neighbors heard the shouting through the walls. Another private moment turned public scandal. Fans were devastated. One commented, "This is like watching him fight ghosts, and the ghosts keep winning." Another wrote, "Kendrick said it years ago, too blinded by the crown to see the cliff ahead. And now he's falling." The prophecy narrative tightened its grip, with even the most skeptical fans starting to believe Thug was fulfilling some tragic script written long before. The industry weighed in again. A high-profile producer posted a cryptic tweet, "When loyalty breaks, the empire crumbles." No names were mentioned, but everyone knew who he was talking about. Blogs amplified the drama, turning every vague statement into another nail in Thug's coffin. The pressure mounted and the world braced for his next move. What happened next was as dramatic as any reality TV twist. At a private event in Los Angeles, Thug was spotted confronting a former collaborator. Witnesses described the scene as explosive. He allegedly shouted, "You think you can just walk away like I don't matter?" The collaborator fired back, "You matter to yourself more than anyone else." The confrontation nearly turned physical before security intervened, but the story spread instantly. Video clips hit the internet within hours. Fans stunned at how public the unraveling had become. Back in Atlanta, the family drama only deepened. His mother, still desperate to save him, tried again to intervene. This time, she brought in other relatives, hoping a united front might reach him. But instead of healing, it sparked another eruption. An aunt reportedly accused him of being selfish, yelling, "You don't care about us, only about your pride." Thug, visibly shaken, snapped back, "If y'all cared, you'd stand by me, not against me." The room dissolved into shouting, with cousins taking sides, old grudges resurfacing, and the family left fractured beyond recognition. By the end of the night, relatives stormed out in silence. Leaving his mother sobbing in the corner. Online, fans watched the spectacle with equal parts heartbreak and fascination. One viral post read, "This isn't just music industry beef. This is family tearing apart in front of the world." Another said, "Drake's words about chaos burying talent have never hit harder." The prophecy narrative turned darker still, with fans editing videos of the family arguments alongside clips of Kendrick's verses, painting a chilling picture of destiny playing out. The tension reached new heights when another betrayal surfaced, this time from within his business empire. A trusted manager was accused of funneling money into personal accounts, leaving Thug blindsided. When the news broke, he allegedly screamed during a private meeting, "They're all eating off me while I starve." Insiders claimed he threw chairs across the room, his anger uncontrollable. The betrayal narrative had moved beyond friends and family. Now it was his professional world collapsing to dot. Meanwhile, fans began speculating about the psychological toll. Hashtags like #PrayForThug and #SaveYoungThug started trending. People debated whether he was truly surrounded by snakes or whether paranoia had consumed him, to the point of seeing enemies everywhere. One fan wrote, "He's fighting battles nobody else can see." Another replied, "But maybe those battles were predicted all along." The prophecy narrative was no longer just background, it was center stage. And then came the twist that left even his loyal supporters questioning everything. A former collaborator released a diss track, airing out private details about their relationship. The lyrics painted Thug as reckless, paranoid, and impossible to work with. One line hit particularly hard, "You built a castle on sand, and now it's sinking." Fans were stunned, some calling it the ultimate betrayal, others insisting it was proof that Thug had burned too many bridges. The track went viral, dominating playlists and sparking endless debates. The response was immediate. Fans begged Thug to fire back with his own music to reclaim control through the very art that made him a star. But instead of releasing a track, he went live again, visibly emotional. "Y'all don't know what it's like," he said, his voice breaking. "Everybody you love turns on you, and you can't trust nobody." Thousands watched, some crying, some angry, all left shaken. The vulnerability made fans more divided than ever. Some saw it as proof he was breaking down. Others saw it as a desperate cry for help. The drama spiraled further when rumors spread of a confrontation between Thug and Drake himself. While unconfirmed, gossip blogs claimed the two had exchanged harsh words over the phone, Drake allegedly warning him to get his house in order before it was too late. Fans ran wild with speculation, debating whether Drake's prophecy was turning into a reality he couldn't ignore. Kendrick single quotes his name also resurfaced, with fans pointing to old verses that suddenly felt like direct commentary on Thug's current state. Social media was flooded with edits, fans writing captions like, "Kendrick tried to tell him, but he didn't listen." The idea that two of the biggest names in hip-hop had foreshadowed this downfall became the dominant narrative, overshadowing everything else, and through it all, Young Thug's isolation grew deeper. Insiders claimed he rarely left his home, spending nights alone in the studio but rarely recording anything. He's haunted by ghosts, one source said. Ghosts of his past, ghosts of his choices, ghosts of the people he lost. The image of the once vibrant, unstoppable star was now that of a man trapped in a cage of his own making. But just when it seemed like he might fade into silence, another bombshell dropped, one that tied every thread of betrayal, prophecy, and chaos together. Pushing the drama into its most explosive chapter yet, the bombshell that tied everything together came like lightning out of a clear sky. In the early hours of a Saturday morning, a major news outlet broke the story. Young Thug's own cousin, someone who had been part of his circle since childhood, was accused of selling private recordings and documents to rival camps. The betrayal cut deeper than anything before because it wasn't just business, it was blood. Fans woke up to headlines screaming betrayal, and social media went into overdrive. The leaked material was devastating. Voice notes of Thug venting about friends, family, and even fans spread across the internet. In one clip, his voice trembled as he said, "They all want a piece of me, but none of them want me whole." In another, he raged, "I'll burn it all down before I let them destroy me." These raw, unfiltered moments stripped away every ounce of mystique and left only vulnerability and chaos. Fans were shocked, divided once again between compassion and criticism. Some saw the pain of a man destroyed by betrayal, while others argued that his paranoia had finally created the very downfall he feared. The family was left shattered. Insiders described a screaming match at a private gathering where his mother confronted the cousin accused of leaking the recordings. "You ruined him," she sobbed. "You broke this family apart for money." The cousin, defiant, allegedly shot back, "He broke himself. I just showed the world who he really is." The room erupted in chaos, relatives screaming, sides being chosen, and at the center of it all was Young Thug, silent, his face unreadable as his family disintegrated around him. The betrayal spread like wildfire in the industry too. Artists who once aligned themselves with Thug distanced themselves overnight. Collaborations were quietly shelved, and major players in the business began to question his stability. One insider whispered to the press, "It feels like nobody wants to touch him anymore. He's radioactive." Fans cried foul, accusing the industry of abandoning him in his darkest hour. But others argued that this was the inevitable price of his self-destruction. And then came the most chilling twist of all. Fans began to uncover eerie connections between the leaked voice notes and old lyrics from both Drake and Kendrick. Drake once rapped about the day the crown turns heavy and friends turn into foes, while Kendrick warned about family turning Judas for the price of silver. Fans clipped these lines side by side with Thug's leaked recordings, calling it the ultimate prophecy fulfilled. The narrative that these two icons had foreseen his downfall became impossible to ignore. Even those who dismissed the idea before admitted the parallels were haunting. The online discourse grew darker. One fan wrote, "This isn't just a downfall, it's destiny catching up to him." Another said, "Drake and Kendrick weren't dissing him, they were warning him, and he didn't listen." The idea that Thug's life was a tragic script written in advance consumed the conversation, turning his real struggles into myth-like spectacle. Behind the scenes, his isolation deepened to unbearable levels. Insiders described him locking himself in the studio for days at a time, lights dimmed, food untouched. It's not creating, he's just sitting there. One producer said, "It's like he's waiting for the end." Friends who tried to reach out were met with silence or anger. One revealed, "I told him I was worried, and he said, 'You're worried because you're guilty too.' He doesn't trust anyone anymore." The climax came during what was supposed to be a triumphant return show in Atlanta, billed as a moment of redemption. Fans packed the venue, hoping to see a glimpse of the old thug, the vibrant star who once ruled the stage. But what they got was a spectacle of heartbreak. Halfway through the set, he stopped performing and sat down on the stage floor. The crowd went silent as he picked up the microphone and whispered, "You all think you know me, but you only know the pieces they sold you." His voice cracked, his head hung low, and the arena was drenched in tension. Fans in the audience shouted words of encouragement, chanting his name, begging him to keep going. But instead of finishing the show, he dropped the mic and walked off stage without another word. The crowd erupted into confusion, some cheering in support, others booing in disappointment. The internet lit up within minutes, with videos captioned, "Young Thug's breaking point," spreading like wildfire. After that night, everything seemed to unravel faster. Business deals collapsed, friends distanced themselves further. And even loyal fans admitted they feared this might be the end. One viral post summed up the mood. "We watched him rise, we watched him fight, and now we're watching him fall." Drake said it, Kendrick said it, and now it's happening. But even in the chaos, there were those who refused to let him go. A group of diehard fans launched an online campaign called Stand with Thug, flooding timelines with messages of love and encouragement. They insisted that he could still bounce back, that this was just another chapter, not the end of the DA's story. Their devotion sparked debate. Was this loyalty admirable, or was it enabling a spiral that had no way out? The family, still fractured, struggled to come together. His mother continued to fight for him, refusing to give up, while others in the family claimed they had to protect themselves from the fallout. The divide grew so deep that insiders claimed holiday gatherings were canceled. The bonds of blood permanently severed by betrayal and blame as the dust settled. The question on everyone's mind was the same. Was this truly the end of Young Thug's empire? Or was there still a chance for redemption? Fans debated endlessly, some predicting he would rise like a phoenix. Others convinced that the prophecy of destruction was irreversible. And that's where the story leaves us on the edge of uncertainty. Caught between tragedy and hope, watching a man wrestle with the weight of betrayal, prophecy, and his own choices. Because if there's one thing clear from this entire saga, it's that Young Thug's life has become more than a story. It's a drama, a spectacle, and a cautionary tale that fans, friends, and family will never forget. And so, here we are, at the end of a story that feels less like celebrity drama and more like a full-blown tragedy. Young Thug, once celebrated as one of the most innovative voices in hip-hop, now stands at the crossroads of redemption and ruin. The betrayals have piled up, friends turned enemies, family torn apart, business partners exposed, and fans left, divided like never before. What began as whispers of trouble has spiraled into a spectacle the whole world is watching. And every twist feels like another piece of the prophecy Drake and Kendrick warned us about. The question now is simple, but haunting. Is this really the end of Young Thug's empire? Or is it just the storm before his greatest comeback? Fans are split right down the middle. Some believe this is destiny catching up to him, the inevitable collapse of a star too blinded by his own crown to see the cliff ahead. Others cling to hope, insisting that even in the darkest hour, there's still a chance for him to rise stronger and wiser, with music that tells the story of survival. But what do you think? Is this prophecy fulfilled? Or is there still one final twist waiting to shock us all? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear every theory, every prediction, every emotion you're feeling after watching this unfold. And don't forget, if you've been glued to this roller coaster of drama, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter in this wild saga. Because in the world of hip-hop, nothing stays quiet for long, and the next headline could drop any moment.